that I just want to get started with the recap real quick, okay? So yesterday, let me see if I can do that. So yesterday, we were talking about the difference between having and not having an operating system, all right? This is what we call it right here. This is the Authority OS. And what happens here is that, let me get over here in the top camera, in the top, right? So what happens here is that when we don't have a system that people can recognize us for, then we're just another expert. And experts, I'm going to tell you this, and you guys can quote me on this. Make sure that you guys put it. Ruben said the experts are a dime a dozen today. Why? Thanks to AI. Everybody can sound beautiful because they're all using AI, but authorities are very few and far in between. So I am actually glad that everybody is using ChatGPT or whatever it is that they're using, because they're going to get found out, and then they're going to find out that only those who really know their subject matter are the real authorities. So I am super happy for that. But let's take a look at this. So what is the Authority OS? That's when you position yourself correctly in the market, when you have the correct message and you have the right value. Today, we're going to cover a little bit about that message, okay? So we're going to be able to take care of that today. Now, this is what we got. Now, yesterday we did an example. We said, let's say that I have a coaching program right now, or a counseling program, or something, a service that I'm happening to be giving to people right now. And then what we're doing is we are charging, let's say that we're charging $2,000 for that service right now. And we get 3 clients. Those 3 clients are going to give us $66,000 a year. Why only 66? Because we're only going to work for 11 months out of the year. We are going to take a complete 30 days off. Everybody okay with taking a month off? Yes? All right, awesome. Yes, so, hey, can you take more than a month? That's up to you. But yes, let's just take the entire month of December off. From the second week, the first week, to the first week of January, let's take our family and say, hey, family, you have seen me work and stress all year long. I'm going to give something back to you. Pack them all up and go spend Christmas somewhere other part of the world. All right, go enjoy yourself because you worked hard. Now, that's at this level. Now we installed our Authority OS. Now we become that person that we really were supposed to be. Okay, the authority, not the expert. Remember, experts are a dime a dozen. We want to become the authority in our market. So what happens is, once we install our operating system, what happens is, now let's just say that we still get the same 3 clients. Okay, the same 3 clients right here. We're going to get the same 3 clients, but because now we are an authority, our price goes up to $5,000 for our services or our goods. Okay, so now we're not charging $2,000 anymore. We just double our fees. So now we are at $5,000 for those same 3 clients. Now what we have is that we have a $15,000 a month coming in from the same 3 clients that we had before. Before we were getting $6,000 a month. Now we almost tripled our income by making sure that we install the Authority OS and that we position ourselves correctly in the market. All right. So now, instead of $6,000 a month, now we're generating $15,000 a month. And if we're still going to take a month off. Okay, we're still only going to work 11 months. But what happens is that now we generated $165,000. That's our potential revenue. So that's what we got coming in. So what happens is that we're going to take the difference between the two. We're going to take the 66 that we were making before. We're going to take the 165. We're going to subtract the 66. And we got $99,000 left. Okay. That's how much money we left on the table. Okay. That's $100,000 that we did not generate in income because we did not position ourselves correctly in the market. That's an authority. That's what we call it. The authority gap. Just imagine that. Couple of small changes and you increase your income by $100,000. Okay. Now that's what I call making the right move. Okay. So we did that. Okay. So we're just going over it. And then what we did is we talked about level 1 and level 2. Okay. And we talked about this level one being the professional, level one being that person that is launching himself out there into the market. They're actually struggling to get their voice out there. They're kind of finding out their footing with their message, and they're it's still testing out a little bit, a couple of places of the value, but right now they still call it a price. This is how much I charge. Okay. But once we start going, we're going to understand that price and value are two totally different things. Okay. So as the people start growing through this, the one thing that we're going to see is that the level one professional goal is to go up the ladder. Now, I did the research and I wrote the book, and it's called The Five Levels into Entrepreneurial Growth, because the entrepreneurship is a journey. And after working with 1,900 paying clients over the past 15 years, I've been able to map this out. So we got level one, the professional. This is what I call the hustler. Okay, this is the guy that's delivering. This guy is working guy and gal that is working 9 to 5, and then it rushes home at 5 so he can be on the phone by 6, and 6 to 10 they're delivering. They're coaching, their services, whatever it is, and maybe even working some weekends here and there. So that's why they're the hustler. They're trying to, expand. They're trying to stretch whatever it is they're doing. They're trying to stretch time so they can generate more. And then now they find themselves that they're between, $0 and $50,000. Okay. And they're working on their market, their message, and their value. They're installing the Authority OS. Then what happens after that is they go to level number two. And level number two is what we call the self-employed. Why? Because now your income just went from 50,000 to about 150,000. Now you're making good money. Now you're going to start getting paid. But now the mentality has to shift. Now you're the employee of your own business. You need to get a salary. You're going to have expenses. You don't get to 150,000 without having expenses. But the nice thing about our digital business is that we don't have widgets to store. So our profits are high. Okay. Maybe our cost of goods sold is right around the 20%. So if you think about that, what is 10% of 150,000 is $10,000, $15,000. Those are going to be your expenses. You're going to have $300, $400, $500 a month in expenses to run your business. Still deductible, but that is the cost of doing business. Oh my God, do I got to pay for this? Yes, it is a business. Okay. So we're going to treat it like that. And now what's happening is that you're no longer trading time for dollars. Basically, you're building a structure that is self-employed. Okay. Now, this is the hard part. When we talk about building the structure, this is where we have to create some SOPs. What are SOPs? Standard operating procedures. What are standard operating procedures? Instructions. How to do something. Okay. So whatever it is that we're doing in the business, that we do on a daily basis, we want to record that. There's AI software, show you that inside the academy. There's some AI software where you can actually upload the video, record yourself doing whatever it is that you're doing on your screen. You explain it, and then you upload it to the software, and the software creates the SOP. The nice, beautiful PDF document with screenshots of the video that you uploaded, and then the instructions written on the side. You can always edit and adjust it, and now you have a set of instructions that you can give who? A new employee. How about if we hire a VA to work for a couple hours a day for us for $7, okay? In an hour, they work 2 hours for us, that's $15 a day, so you come out, about $60 a week. You have somebody that comes in and does some of the menial things that you want to get away from doing. That is what we call creating structure so that you can have freedom, okay? Freedom comes from structure. Without structure, you have no freedom. You're tied to the business. So once you create the structure and you pass it on to somebody else, they come in every morning and they do those little menial tasks, and that frees you to do something else that is much more important. Okay, so we're going to focus on income generating activities, and we're going to give somebody else to do those things. And then the second part of this is what I found to be one of the hardest ones, specifically when people that are just launching their business, and that is to delegate. Delegate is sometimes one of the hardest things to do because a lot of people take their business as personal. Oh, but this is my baby. I can't just give it to somebody else. They're not going to do it as well as me. Oh my God, nobody's ever going to be as good as me. No, they're not. Does that step on toes? No, nobody's ever going to do it as good as you. They're probably going to do it better. Oh, wait, what? Maybe they do it better than you. Okay. What if they don't do it as better as you? It's okay. What if you need to get two people to replace you? It's okay. Get those two people because that frees you to do something else that's more important. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. So delegate is really, really hard. Now let's take a look at level 3. Okay. This is for today. All right. So, all right. So let's go to level 3. What is level 3? If level 1 is the professional who's getting the voice out there, who's trying to find his footing in the market, and level 2 is the self-employed, who do you think is level 3? Hey, I just heard lightning outside. Okay, I'm in Tampa, Florida, guys. So hopefully we will not lose power, but that seems to happen sometimes because I just heard lightning. But anyhow, we're here. If we lose power, come back in a couple of minutes because I'm going to reboot everything and try to get back right back on. All right. So just let everybody know. All right. So we have the professional and we have the self-employed. Who's in level 3? Put it in the chat for me. Make sure. Let me make sure that the chat is set up for everybody. Everybody. Okay, the chat is set up for everybody. So let's put it on the chat. Let me know if level 1 is the professional, level 2 is the self-employed. Who is level 3? The entrepreneur. No, we're not there yet. Yes, April. Yes, and April the cookie. Okay, so there you go. That's right. Okay, level 3. Move that over a little bit more. Okay. Is the business owner. Okay. So, something like that. Anyhow, let me correct that. Oh, this one, right? Yep. Hey, it's the yellow. See? All right, perfect. This is the business owner. I think I have Buzine on there, right? Yeah, I do. What happens when I start writing too fast? I'm trying to beat the storm. All right, perfect. So you have the business owner. Now, interestingly enough, the business owner has a nickname, the manager. You go like, why would the business owner be the manager? Because this is the place. Okay, let's look at the income. Okay, so level 2, we left at 150,000. Now the business owner is the one who's right about 150,000 to about $500,000. Okay, so this is where we have the business owner. Now he now has a team of people. The business owner has a team of people. That's why we nickname him the manager. Okay. And then what we're going to start seeing as the manager, and what we're going to see is that at this level, we as business owners need to learn to let go. This is where structure starts to meet freedom. All right. Let's take a look at that. Let me go here. This is where structure starts to meet freedom. Yes. This is where structure starts to meet freedom. Now you are creating systems, but the systems that you are creating are systems to be able to leverage your time. Let me tell you something that happened back in the early 1980s. I don't know if many of you remember Jack Welch or who Jack Welch was. He was the CEO for GE. Okay, General Electric, the big company that we all see their appliances and everything else. Well, he took GE to from one of the top 15 companies in the world to number 2. Okay. Now, it was talking about, capitalization, GE Capital. They started financing vehicles in the 80s, and they did all kinds of things. And Jack Welch ended up creating what was known as the Jack Welch Institute of Management. He was the one that was responsible for companies making annual lists of people and cutting the bottom 10% every year. Okay, it was hard. Okay, but he said if you cut the bottom 10%, the other 90% I'm going to work a little harder to produce because they don't want to be in the bottom 10% next year, but somebody else is going to end up there and they're going to get cut. And that's how you able to grow companies. And he did that. He taught that at the Jack Welch Management Institute. But one day, CNN did a study. They send a survey out to all the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies. Okay, the Fortune 500 is a big index, the top 500 companies in the world, and the New York Stock Exchange. They sent the survey, they filled it out, they brought it back, and they handed that over to Jack Welch. Well, a report normally, has all this data that they compiled and all the information. It has a cover page, and then on top of the cover page, there's something known as a preface. Okay, and the preface is a summary of the cover page. So it's kind of like 3, 4, 5 sentences, really brief. But this is what this report tells you. Then you can go read some more in the cover page, and then if you want to get into the details of the report, then you have the report also with all the additional data and everything else. Well, he looked at that thing, and in his typical Jack Welch manner, he said, do it again. He handed it over to him and said, well, you don't understand. We surveyed the top CEOs, the Fortune 500 companies, and this is the result we got. And the question was this: what is the effective time of a CEO? That was the entire survey was based on the effective time of a CEO. He looked at it and said, no, take it, do it again. Well, Darren Hardy was he was a mortgage broker at the time, and this was before he became the editor and publisher of the Success magazine for about 10 years, where he ended up interviewing some of the most successful people all over the world. And the one thing that he did was he hung a chronometer around his neck, and then he went out to work 3 14-hour days. And during those 14-hour days, what he did is he took that chronometer, he started it, and he stopped it when only things that he could do at his level. Then he looked at it at the end of 3 days because he worked 3, 12, and 1 14-hour day, according to him. And then when he stopped it, he looked at it at the end of the 3 days and he said, like, I cannot believe this. Well, CNN took the report back from Jack Welch. They went and they resurveyed all the top Fortune 500 CEOs, and they brought that report back to Jack Welch. Jack Welch looked at it and said, yeah, you got it right this time. The effective time of a CEO. Who wants to venture and put it on the chat? What do you think is the effective time, daily effective time of a CEO? Okay. The daily effective time of a CEO. Okay. The day effective time of a CEO is 45 minutes a day. Isn't that crazy? 45 minutes a day. You go like, what do you mean 45 minutes a day? But the guy works all day. He goes out to lunch. He plays golf half the time. Okay, wait, back up a second. What is the function of a CEO? Oh, let's answer that question because this is a very important question for today. CEOs, and I want all of you who are here have access to your keyboard. I want you to type it in for me because I want to make sure you guys get this. CEOs only work with systems and processes. Put it in the chat. Systems and processes. Okay, put it in the chat. CEOs only work with systems and processes. So what does a CEO do? One of the most famous CEOs in the world, Warren Buffett, he says, I get up and he reads 5 newspapers every morning. 5 newspapers every morning. And then he makes decisions. He sends a memo out. He's done for the day. Now, does he still perform other functions? Yes, he does. But his CEO role is done. Now, let's say let's say that you're the CEO of the company. You get up in the morning, You get your sales report, you look at it, you look at the numbers, you get your marketing reports, you get all the reports from the different departments, and they all have what we go, they all have KPIs, what we go keep, performance indicators that each department has. They give you those numbers. You look at the reports, you make decisions, and you send them. Now you're going to go out and play golf with another CEO. Now you're playing golf because you're both CEOs, but your function during that particular event is not a CEO function. Maybe you're talking to another CEO because you want to create a purchase of a product that they may have, and you're building this relationship before the attorneys get involved, because you got to make some deals and so forth, and then you let the attorneys figure it all out in the contracts and the paperwork. But right now we're just having a fun game. So you're not there, you went there as the CEO, but your role at that moment maybe as the CMO, your chief marketing officer, or because you're trying to sell something to somebody else. Okay? You see how that changes? So right here, when we talk about the business owner, I need to correct this. It's driving me nuts. All right, perfect. So here we go. Business owner. So the structure and freedom. And now is when you learn to delegate. And as you're delegating, you are creating what we call the freedom structure. Okay, because you're telling people, you're giving people all their instructions or what it is that they need to be, okay, and what it is that they need to be doing or performing. Okay, so we do that. Now, the focus comes from here. We're going to bring this from a level 2. Now, the focus is delegation, staffing. Okay, we want to make sure that we have the right people in our team. And how do we do that? The one thing that we're going to do is that we're going to learn to hire people based not on their resumes, not on their profiles, but based on their roles that they are going to be working on. Okay, it's an important distinction to find the right person for the right job. Okay, and for every role that there is out there, there's already a Briggs-Myers, test. There's a DISC score and everything else that you can look. Okay, I want this person. They need to be a high C if this is the kind of people that I want working in this particular department. I want the person that is a high I. That I want that person working in this. But all of that's already out there. It's already mapped for us, so it's easy. But that is the transition, okay, that we're going to have here. We're going to go from. Woohoo. We're going to go from level 1, the professional, the person that is looking to, for the market, the message, and the value of what they want to deliver to the market. We're going to go from 0 to 50,000. Level 2 is the self-employed person that really is looking to go, to grow their business. Now they're creating SOPs and they're learning how to start delegating. And then level 3, stay there. Okay, and then level 3, we have the business owner, okay, and that is between 150,000 and $500,000 a year. And now the whole purpose here is to learn to delegate so that you can get to level 4. And we're going to cover level 4 tomorrow because that is the most critical one of them all. That is probably the most important one. That's the one that everybody wants to get to. That's the one that everybody mentions. Well, I am an entrepreneur. Okay, really, are you? Have you gone through these levels? Are you over $500,000? Do you have SOPs? Do you have staff? How many people you have in your team? Well, not just me. So you're not an entrepreneur yet. You have ambitions of becoming one, but you got to scale to get there. All right. All right. Perfect. So that is part of the recap from yesterday. We did that. And then we also talked about in order to be successful, you got to have, and we talked about the GPS. You got to know where and how to avoid the mistakes that other people have made. Because I want to ask you something. This is for everybody here to put it in the chat. If you have the opportunity to spend, let's just say $100,000 and go to college for 4 years. It's a cheap college. Let's say that you spend $100,000 and you go to college for 4 years. Or hiring a coach, let's say for 20,000, and you're able to start producing in 90 days. What would you rather do? What would you rather do? April says the coach. Who else agrees with her? Who else agrees with the coach? Or who wants to spend 4 years and 100 grand and 4 years? Okay. Absolutely, the coach. Because they're going to short path your way to success. So when you're looking at a program, you're looking at somebody who's done it, who's got the pathway. They can tell you, hey, don't go here. Okay, there's a lot of traffic here. All right, don't go there. There's traffic. We can go over here. It's going to be an extra 3 minutes, but we're going to save all this heartaches. Okay, perfect. I'll take the extra 3 minutes and save myself the heartaches. Okay, maybe these heartaches are going to cost a lot of money and I want to save them. Okay, then they got to have a support system. How is it that they're going to support you? Okay, and then accountability. You want to make sure that you have accountability. Okay. All right, perfect. So we have that. Okay, so we talked about that yesterday. And then we talked about you guys being here, about making a decision, about signing up and committing this time to be here to grow your business. I commend you for that. So we talked about the different, how, what a seed does and what the difference is, between choosing and deciding. Because we know that you had all the choices, all the places that you could have been today. But because you decided, that means that you cut everything off and you're here. For example, Harpy, I want you to pay attention to the road, man. I don't want you, I want you to pay attention to the road because you're driving, all right? Okay. So anyhow, so that's that. So we have this one. All right. So this is the recap that we did from yesterday. Okay.